Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Paranormal Inc. Ohio. Tonight we are going to talk about the top 11 haunted houses that I have found out in my research. I read the research, I wrote everything down. I'm going to read from that. It mostly comes from many different resources, so just keep that in mind as I read this to you guys. At number 11, I'm going to start with the Amityville Horror House, and it is in New York, and its estimated home value is $951,705. Although it is the least haunted home on the list, it is a notorious home that was the scene of a horrific murder in November 1974. The Amityville Horror House is perhaps the most commercialized haunted house in America. It is where 23-year-old Ronnie DeFeo Jr. killed his mother, father, two brothers, and two sisters with a rifle as they slept in their beds. The Lutz family purchased the home in 1975 for a mere $80,000, but left after 28 days, in which they described many supernatural events occurring, such as slime oozing down walls, strange odors, moving furniture, swarms of flies in the dead of winter, and slamming doors, to name a few. Soon a bestseller was born, The Amityville Horror, a true story, which also subsequently generated 9 movies. In reality, the Amityville story was more fiction than fact. DeFeo's lawyer, William Weber, admitted that he belonged with the Lutzes. I'm sorry, it wasn't belong. I read that wrong. Admitted that he, along with the Lutzes, created this horror story over many bottles of wine. After the Lutzes moved on, several families have lived in the home for decades. Each have expressed nothing horrific occurring. As a matter of fact, the home was just recently sold to a couple who report that the only scary thing about it are the people that come by and gawk. And sometimes they see a shadowy figure walking the halls. Could it be the spirit of Ronnie DeFeo? It could be. They say Ronnie DeFeo was possessed by a demon, and demons haunted him, even into his prison cell before he died. Guards and inmates alike would say that he would appear out of his cell, that they would hear weird noises coming from his cell on many occasions. At number 10, we are going to talk about the Whaley House, and this is in San Diego, California. The estimated home value is not available, but I can tell you from the research I did that it has sold once before for over $1 million. So in 1849, as news of the gold rush broke, young Thomas Whaley moved from New York to California and opened a hardware store in San Francisco. Arson destroyed his business in 1851, so he moved to San Diego. The present-day Old Town San Diego, where he set up general store businesses, always the entrepreneur, he started a brick-making business and used those kiln-fired bricks to build a granary thin, and in 1857 he built an adjacent 2-story Greek Revival brick building where he and his wife, Rachel Pye, lived. It was considered the finest New York brick block in Southern California. I saw that New York brick block, and it must be some type of block that is made. That I don't know. Maybe it's made like New York blocks. I have no idea. And then it costed only $10,000. The walls were finished with plaster made from ground seashells. The site of the house is also where gallows once stood and where Yankee Jim Robinson was hanged for attempted grand larceny. Whaley reportedly witnessed the hanging, but was not fazed by it. Since he bought the property a few years later, removed the gallows and built the Whaley family home on the site. Shortly after moving in, heavy footsteps from the boots of the large man could be heard throughout the house. Whaley concluded it was Yankee Jim, whose spirit is alive and well 2 centuries later. 2 later tragedies occurred in the house. The Whaley's second child, Thomas Jr., died at 18 months of scarlet fever, and their 5th child, Violet, committed suicide in 1885. The home was designated a California State Historic Landmark in 1932 and is open to the public. Thomas Whaley also had prominent family history. His grandfather, Alexander Whaley, supplied George Washington with badly needed muskets during the American Revolutionary War, during the Battle of White Plains. And his mother, Rachel, made some crude, shrewd real estate deals, including buying Sheep's Meadows, which was used as grazing land in New York City. It is now known as Central Park. So now we're going to move on to number 9, the Stranahan House, located in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The Stranahan House was one of the several structures built between 1893 and 1906 along the New River in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, by an enterprising young man named Frank Stranahan. Frank arrived in 1893 to operate a barge ferry across the river and was the first non-Indian to live in what is now the center of Fort Lauderdale. Soon, this prime location spawned other businesses for Stranahan, including a trading post, post office, bank, and hotel. He became a powerful landowner in the area, and soon the Stranahan Trading Post became well known. He married schoolteacher Ivy Cromaturi and built her a home right on the New River in 1906. The Stranahan House, which still stands today as the oldest remaining structure in Broward County. Frank and Ivy were considered Fort Lauderdale's first family. This is also where Stranahan's story turns grim. He suffered from depression, and his mental health could not endure a hurricane that devastated his businesses or the financial effects of the Great Depression. Stranahan committed suicide on June 23, 1929, by strapping a large iron gate to his ankle and throwing himself into the New River. There are many reports of Frank Stranahan's ghosts in the Stranahan House, as well as the ghost of Ivy Crematory. Other ghostly presences include 6 family members and the apparition of an Indian servant girl near the back of the home. The Stranahan House is now open to the public for tours. Number 8, the Myrtles Plantation. The Myrtles Plantation is in Francisville, Louisiana. Take an historic old antebellum plantation home from 1796, surround it with trees draped with Spanish moss, and set it in voodoo-rich Louisiana, and you have the perfect setting for ghosts. But you still need mayhem and history to generate ghostly spirits, and there are lots of both at the Myrtles Plantation. In 1808, Clark Woodruff took charge of the plantation from his deceased father-in-law, General David Bradford, where he kept things running along with his wife Sarah and their 3 kids. Legend has it that Woodruff also took a special liking to a slave he owned named Chloe, but Chloe was immensely jealous of Woodruff's family and baked a birthday cake filled with poisonous oleander leaves. Woodruff's wife Sarah and 2 of the children died. Chloe confessed, but fellow slaves hung Chloe and dumped her body in the Mississippi. A host of other natural deaths occurred in the home, but the only other murder was when plantation owner William Winter was shot and killed in 1871. While standing on the front porch, he supposedly staggered inside, dying on the 17th step of the home. Myrtles Plantation is also reportedly built on the site of an old Indian burial ground, and during the Civil War, Union soldiers ransacked the home. While it is hard to separate fact from fiction, popular sightings of ghosts around Myrtles Plantations include the large mirror in the home that contains the spirits of Sarah Woodruff and her children, ghosts seen around the 17th step, and of course Chloe, who is outside tending to her plantings. The house is in National Register of Historic Places and is now a bed and breakfast. Number 7, the Chambers Mansion, located in San Francisco, California. Estimated home value, $3,738,359. In the prestigious Pacific Heights neighborhood of San Francisco is the Chambers Mansion, which was built in 1887 and named after his first owner, Richard Chambers, who was a silver mine tycoon. Legend goes that Chambers lived here with his 2 nieces who hated each other. When Chambers died in 1901, the nieces inherited the mansion. One reportedly bought the house next door and moved in, while the other sister, Claudia, stayed. Claudia reportedly loved pigs, but met her fate one day when she was nearly cut in half from what her family called a farm implementation accident. Ghost expert Jim Fassbinder, who considers haunted home tours in San Francisco claims that an insane member of the Chambers family who was kept in the attic chased Claudia downstairs into the Josephine room and killed her. The mansion was eventually converted to the Mansion Hotel in 1977. There, celebs such as Barbra Streisand, Robert De Niro, and Robin Williams stayed. Many guests have reported strange occurrences while staying there. Number 6, the Sprague Mansion. Sprague Mansion is located in Cranston, Rhode Island. Yes, Cranston, Rhode Island is where this is located. One of the Cranston's most prosperous families, the Sprague family, owned Cranston Print Works, a textile mill that was the first to make calico prints and helped pioneer chemical bleaching. When William Sprague died in 1836, he left the business to 2 sons, Amasa and William II. Amasa concentrated on the family business, while William II focused on politics, serving as a U.S. representative, governor, and United States senator. On December 31st, 1843, Amasa was found shot and beaten on the road between his textile mill and his mansion. A man was hanged for the crime, but later found to be innocent. A true killer was never found. The Sprague family's fortunes eventually faded, and the Sprague Mansion changed ownership many times until Cranston Historical Society saved it from demolition in 1967. Hauntings of the mansions most often observed include a mesa in the wine cellar and a spirit thought to be Charlie, the butler, descending the main stairway. Legend goes that Charlie's hopes and dreams of riches were dashed and clashed when his daughter did not marry the wealthy homeowner's son. Number 5, the Franklin Castle, which is located in Cleveland, Ohio. Its estimated home value is only $202,689. Complete with a tower, turrets, balconies, stone outcroppings, gargoyles, wrought iron fixtures, and fences, this imposing Gothic-style Franklin Castle is said to be Ohio's most haunted home. It was built in 1860 for Hannes Tindemann, an immigrant from Germany who became a wholesale grocer turned banker. Depending on who you believe, Tindemann was either an evil tyrant who had a hand in mysterious deaths that occurred in the home between 1865 and 1895, including the deaths of 3 babies, or he was a decent and hardworking man, but faced unfortunate circumstances. There have been many owners of the home, including a German singing society and a church group. Presently, it is owned by an internet businesswoman who wanted to renovate it and turn it into a bed and breakfast and hold haunted mystery weekends. But a fire in 1999 derailed her plans. It is rumored that the Franklin Castle will be listed soon. In the market for a haunted house, amenities include sounds of footsteps, babies crying, and doors slamming. How many agents dare to appear at this broker's open house? Number 4, the White House. Location in Washington, D.C. Its estimated home value, get ready for this, guys, is $328,601,186. Yes. It makes sense that his home this old and with so much history has a lot of ghosts. Abigail Adams, wife of 2nd President John Adams, is considered to be the oldest ghost in the White House. Since she and John were the first to live in the big, drafty home that was still unfinished when they moved in November 1st, 1800. She was known to hang her laundry in the fast room, or the East room, and is still spotted there to this day. But perhaps the most notable ghost is 16th President Abraham Lincoln, who some believe had psychic powers. Many former presidents, residents, and heads of state say they see Lincoln or they felt his presence throughout the White House, including British Prime Minister Winston Churchill and Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands, who fainted at the sight of Lincoln's image. Other famous ghosts include Dolly Madison, who stands watch over the Rose Garden. 7th President Andrew Jackson has been heard laughing in the Rose bedroom. 3rd President Thomas Jefferson plays his violin in the Yellow Oval Room. 9th President William Henry Harrison haunts the White House attic. And British soldiers are seen walking the hallways. Number 3, the Lalaurie Mansion. The Lalaurie Mansion is located in New Orleans, Louisiana. Its estimated home value is $443,705. Horrific stories of torture and abuse inflicted on slaves who worked in this house were reported in the 1830s, and the abuser was said to be Madame Delphine Lalaurie, a socialite of great wealth and prominence in New Orleans. Delphine and her husband, Dr. Louis Lalaurie, would host elaborate parties at the house, but soon stories of vicious cruelty emerged. In one tale, Delphine was whipping the child of a slave when the child broke away and ran to the roof, falling to her death. The turning point for the home came when a fire broke out, and when help arrived, they witnessed horrific scenes of punishment and torture inflicted on the slaves. The home has undergone many changes and owners over the years, with one of the most recent owners, actor Nicolas Cage. Cage said of the Lalaurie house, "You know, other people have beachfront property. I have a ghost front property." Unfortunately, Cage lost the property in a foreclosure auction. Read the chronology of the Lalaurie house. It's insane, the things that happened there. She beat, tortured, and just absolutely was inhumane to these people. First off, they didn't even need to be slaves. Slavery was such a stupid and unwanted thing. And those are people, and what she did to them was just absolutely ghastly. And she's earned her spot in hell. Next up is the Lizzie Borden house in Fall River, Maryland. Yes, location Fall River, Maryland, is in an estimated home value is $288,013. Who killed Andrew and Abby Borden with an axe on the morning of August 4th, 1892 in this Fall River home? To this day, no one truly knows. Lizzie Borden, daughter of Andrew and stepdaughter of Abby, became the prime suspect and eventually the subject of a popular children's rhyme. Andrew was a widowed cabinet maker and had two daughters, Lizzie and Emma Lenora. In 1865, he married Abby Durfee Gray, and then in 1872, he bought this home so he could be closer to the city's downtown district. Reporters say that the Bordens were not a loving family unit, and the stresses of step relatives created much tension in the house, which were only escalated by the Borden girls' fears that their father was bequeathing his assets and property to the stepmother's side of the family. Lizzie was indicted for the crime and then acquitted by a jury. It was considered the trial of the century. She and her sister eventually moved to a home on French Street before eventually going to their separate ways. The murder home is now a bed and breakfast where Andrew and Abby are said to still roam. And number one, guys, the Winchester House, located in San Jose, California. And the home value is $2,213,000. As one of two homes in California sanctioned by the U.S. Commerce Department of being haunted, yes, this house is actually submitted by government officials that it is haunted. The other one is the Whaley House that I talked about earlier. The Winchester House stands alone as perhaps the most bizarre haunted home in the United States. It was inspired and designed by Sarah Winchester, widow of William Winchester, founder of the Winchester Rifles. Legend goes that Sarah was deeply affected by the deaths of her daughter, Annie, in 1866, and then her husband, William, in 1881. Sarah consulted a medium who instructed her to build a house to ward off evil spirits. Construction on the Winchester House started in 1884 and continued for 38 years, until Sarah's death in 1922. Sarah reportedly held nightly seances to gain guidance from spirits and her dead husband for the home's design. What resulted was a maze-like residence full of twisting and turning hallways, dead ends, secret panels, a window built into a floor, staircase leading to nowhere, doors that opened to walls, upside-down columns, and rooms built that intentionally closed off, all to ward off and confuse evil spirits. I have done an absolute a great ghost story on the Winchester House. If you go to paranormalincohio.com, and go back through my ghost stories, you'll be able to see it as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's episode. I wanted to check out some haunted houses, man. And I found this list. I wrote everything down. I made this list. I didn't find it. Made this list, wrote everything down. And I hope you guys enjoyed it so much. I thank you guys also very much for all the love and respect and support that you give Paranormal Inc. Ohio. And don't forget, tonight at 10 p.m. we will be live for Fear Friday Live. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. You'll hear from me tomorrow. Bye, everyone.